r/AskReddit. What ducked up thing did you do as a kid? I was pretty young when this happened, maybe 13 years old. I was in a hot tub with my friends and I thought I had to fart. It was not to fart. Pooped in my bathing suit, so I casually grabbed it with my hand and while no one was looking I dropped it behind the hot tub. I tried to poison my mom's boyfriend. I was probably around 11. I had one of those science kits from the Scholastic book fair. I took the citric acid and dumped the whole container into his drink. He sipped it and just said, "This tastes like shit," and dumped it out, lol. I find this even funnier because citric acid is harmless. I think I've actually seen it recently at Walmart for cooking purposes. In 7th grade, I lit a poster on fire that was hanging on the basement wall adjacent to my parents' indoor heating oil tank. I used to have a couple bullies in the 1st grade. One day they decided it would be a good idea to strap me to a bench and strip me. So you know what I did? I shit my pants right then and there. They never bothered me again. I had a notebook that I proceeded to fill with drawings. Each page was a scene like a comic book. It told the pictorial story of a woman getting pregnant and giving birth with graphic detail. Detail according to my 7-year-old understanding of how birth worked. When I was in 2nd grade, I said my teacher was stabbing kids with pencils. The others were brought in one at a time and questioned. This did not happen and I remember the teacher fondly and have no idea why I did it. I made my brother and his friends a jug of Kool-Aid with water from the toilet. My friend and I hid underneath the desk during a fire drill in 2nd grade. We both got an F for conduct that day. My mom was pissed. Once pissed on a kid through a chain link fence while my friends and I were chatting with him and his brother. I flipped off people while going for a walk with my parents when I was 5. I didn't realize that was a bad thing to do. When I was in 1st grade, a girl wouldn't let me in her club. So the next morning our teacher took away her sunglasses because she was wearing them during class. During recess I snuck into the classroom and placed the sunglasses in the girl's desk. Then I told the teacher when we got back that I saw her take her sunglasses back during recess. My teacher believed me. The girl denied it. The teacher pushed down her desk and the sunglasses were there. She got in trouble for not only stealing but for lying about it. No one ever found out it was me all along. And that is just one story of why I am going to hell. In 7th grade, my best friend asked me if I would go and ask the boy she liked if he liked her and if he would go out with her. I went over and asked him if he liked her. He said no. Then I asked if he liked me. He said yes. And then I asked him to be my boyfriend. He said yes. Then I went right back to my friend and told her that he didn't like her, but that he liked me and was now my boyfriend. I don't know why I did that. I put liquid soap on my siblings' toothbrushes for April Fools because I read about it as a prank somewhere. I took my holidays very seriously. Pooped my pants when I was like 5. Didn't want to tell anyone, so I dropped it in the heater duct in my room. House got sold and we moved away not long after. Unrelated. My older brother pissed me off, so I pissed in a super soaker. Dominance. I would make animal tails out of paper, tape them to my butt, then pretend I was said animal and run around on all fours, making animal noises. I did not turn out to be a furry. However, once when pretending to be a ring-tailed lemur I pranced straight into a closed glass patio door. Maybe that smacked the furry out of me. Growing up in the 80s, every time I swore my parents threatened to wash my mouth out with a bar of soap. I got tired of hearing it, so the next time they made the threat I went to the bathroom, came back with a bar of soap and with a smile on my face proceeded to scrub my mouth with it. Can't make it a punishment if I enjoy it. My cousin and I were like 7ish or so and playing upstairs in a room by ourselves. My aunt left her sewing machine and they're ready to go. We were fascinated by how fast the needle moved up and down when we stepped on the foot pedal. Then we had the idea to see who could get their finger out of the way before the needle started moving. He went. Safe. I went. Safe. He went. Blood shot out and screaming commenced. Threw 2 big bags of hamster bedding through my fan and acted like a news forecaster and acted like it was snowing, and parents woke up to my room being covered in over an inch of bedding. Needless to say, I didn't own the hamster anymore. I still cringe when I remember that I asked my 6th grade teacher what a blowjob was because some older kids kept talking about it. She was cool though and told me. My friend and I ripped and stole pages out of a neighbor's Cosmo that had pictures of boobs. I think it might have been for breast self-exams. We were 10-year-old girls at the time and got totally busted by my parents. That same friend and I got into a different neighbor's trash bags after Thanksgiving and decided to sample some of their leftovers. What the actual duck? Kids are so strange. I took a dump in a plastic bag and hid it in my closet for reasons. Also used to stick my wang out between the curtains of my bedroom window after bedtime when I first started getting boners because the risk of being seen was thrilling. I lived on a busy street. Guess I was a born exhibitionist. I helped a Jewish kid steal a Christmas tree. He complained his family never had a Christmas tree. When I was 8, I stole my father's nickel collection and spent it on penny candy. Yo, what the duck? Is he mad at you? Was it silver or proofs? My dad has a massive collection of silver quarters he inherited from his dad. At one point, he counted and put them all in paper rolls. My younger brother took a few rolls, having no idea what they were or what they were worth, and blew all of them in ducking quarter machines. My dad was beyond pissed. Why he kept them in a cardboard box in a closet, I don't know. But, either way, my brother shouldn't have been going through their shit and taken them. But, he keeps them locked up now. Gave my little brother X-Lax and told him it was chocolate when we were under 10. I knew it would give him diarrhea, but I didn't know how badly. It was ducked up. I kind of relate to the Queen song. I had a nanny with an enormous ass and I snuggled up to it regularly and she apparently saw nothing wrong with it. Who knows, maybe it was her idea. I was too young to really pay attention. Anyway, I like butts as an adult, go figure. I pooed on the floor then smudged it all onto my little sister's doll. The scat man. My parents used to my peel apples because kids can have trouble swallowing and chewing the skin. I was upset I wasn't allowed it and when they weren't looking I took the skin out of the garbage and ate it. Went to the cinema dressed as a ninja for attention. How were you supposed to get attention if nobody could see you? Yep, he clearly spelled free admission wrong. Burned down a field of dry grass next to my house and almost burned my neighbor's house and my house down with it. Friends and I would hang out on a side street with a 1-gallon gas can and a lighter. When we saw a car coming, one of us would run across the street while pouring gas and the other friend would light the gas after he was clear. My stepmom was abusive to me, so when she'd fall asleep I'd say mean things to her hoping she'd hear it in her dreams. More stupid than ducked up. This is cute and sad. I don't know if it would be considered ducked up, but my brother and I made homemade darts drum push pins. The pins used to hold dress shirts at stores and would throw them at each other. They would stick in our skin and wiggle and we would laugh our asses off. On 1991, after seeing Mike Tyson getting arrested on the news, I asked my dad what rape was, and he told me it meant hurting a girl. So you can picture 7-8-year-old me running to the teacher to say stuff like, "Teacher, come. Jack, John and George are raping Molly on the playground," or threatening my classmates with rape if they were annoying me, boys included, cause I thought this way I was also insulting them by calling them girls. Edit. The final straw for the teacher was when 2 kids on my classroom were fighting and I teased one of them with a sarcastic tone. "Oh, poor you. You don't like getting raped." The teacher ran towards me. "Like what did you just say?" So I explained to her, still teasing him. "Well, Miss Sarah, he's like a girl, so we rape him instead of hitting him." I remember my dad reading the Bible to us one night and I asked what a virgin was. He said it meant a girl who had never slept with a man. I thought he meant literally sleep because I was like 4, and whatever the context was implied that being a virgin was a good thing, so I felt bad for not being a virgin because sometimes I had nightmares and slept in my parents' bed. When I was 13, the blizzard of '93 rolled through, holding me captive for 2 weeks indoors with my family. I was lonely, horny and hadn't seen a female in 2 whole weeks. I was dying to get out of the house one day when I had one of the most brilliant ideas. I made my way to the woods behind my house, climbed down into a gully. In that gully is where I made her, a snow woman. She was amazing. I sculpted her out of snow covering the ground so I could lay on top of her. I gave her some boobs, some curves and a hole, and for some reason, a smile and 2 rocks for eyes to gaze into. I removed my gloves, unzipped and got busy. When I finished, I brushed myself off and erased her, climbed out of the gully, through the woods and back inside to my room and listed to counting crows for an hour or so. In 8th grade, in the fall season, my friends and I were hanging out in this tunnel. It was filled with dry leaves. As we sat on the walls of the tunnel shooting the shit, I was mindlessly throwing matches into the leaves. I had this weird obsession with fire since I was really young. I was spacing out just staring at the little flames until my friend grabbed me and pointed out how fast it was spreading. We started stomping on the leaves and the fire just kept rapidly spreading. We looked at the openings of the tunnel and black smoke was just pluming out of both ends. A few other things happened after that, but it ended with my friends and I running away. The way our neighborhood worked, we could see the tunnel from my friend's house without being seen by anyone else. The tunnel had a massive flame coming out of both ends. I can't believe how bad the fire was, but it was in a remote area. There wasn't anything close to it that it could burn down. Not justifying what I did, because it was extremely reckless, dangerous and destructive, but all things considered it was pretty harmless and luckily I never got caught. I put countless rocks on the train tracks in hopes of derailing it, filled a super soaker with rubbing alcohol and sprayed fire. Eat coins. My sister and I would ask our friends a question. If they answered wrong we would be like, "You dumbass donkey," and ride the person while making donkey noises saying "walk, donkey, you stupid ass," and so on. A friend once said New York was the capital of the states and we ducking rode him for half an hour. When I decided I was done playing my dolls, my brother and I hung them on the dartboard and used them for practice. My friends and cousins would come over and we'd shoot darts at the dolls. It was a good time. Edit. One of the dolls had a loose head, so my cousin and I would just throw it violent around for hours and get the adults to put the head back on every time it fell off. Then we started again. When I was around 7 I shit in a cup and gave it to my brother, who was in high school, to eat it and told him it was chocolate popcorn. Long story short, he did not eat it. I was absolutely terrible to the first man my mom dated after she and my father split. Really terrible. I once told the man, in the middle of dinner and apropos of nothing, that I hated him and hoped he died in a car wreck on the way home. Said calmly, with a straight face, that man did nothing wrong, was always good to me. I still feel terrible about it more than 20 years later. When I was 5 I had hair down to my ass. I was tired of my mom brushing it, so I cut it all off and peed on it in a bucket. When I was 11, my friend and I soaked a tennis ball in gasoline and lit it on fire and with gloves on tossed it around with my friend. Just cause. Ended up throwing it to him in an arc and he missed and it slid down his chest, leaving an on fire gasoline trail on his shirt. Had 1st degree burns and we really got in trouble for that one. Erased my bully Super Mario Bros level. He was at 8/10 worlds, and I never felt more proud. Edit. Just want to say thank you for the award and the upvotes. I am like FNDND, yo bully, we can call IT even. I stole my dead maternal grandmother's 30k engagement ring and lost it on the playground when I was 6 years old while my parents were losing the house. I liked holding shiny things and I forgot about it. We were basically almost homeless because of what I did. Dark thoughts. My friends and I were out riding our bikes and saw a dead squirrel in the road. Kid Logic said picking that carcass up with some sticks, carrying it to a random front step and doing a ding ding ditch was a good idea. About a week later we notice a for sale sign in that house. To this day I'm suspicious this poor family thought they were being targeted by some sociopath and noped the duck out of there. I would hold my foreskin closed and then pee till it filled up, then let go a piss explosion all over the bathroom. Edit. God damn it. Really didn't want this to be my highest rated comment. When I was little I'd ask for a bowl of ice cream and wait for it to melt, then dunk my big toe in it and suck it off my toe. Looked at naked girls my own age because I thought that was what you were supposed to do. In 10th grade I found the password to access everything on all the public network drives. All the individual computers used a program called Deep Freeze and load up an imagine of the OS each time. The ducked up thing I did was access random students' essay files on their private storage and randomly added in horrible sentences with profanity in the middle of paragraphs. Eventually got caught and lost my computer privileges for a while. But they only punished me for installing a game like Scorched Earth on the drive, which I didn't actually do. Got detention in 6th grade. They gave me a slip I had to make my parents sign so they would know that I had gotten detention. I forged my dad's signature, who happened to be deployed in Iraq at the time. My friends and I used to walk around shooting windows out with BB guns. This progressed to shooting people until one person threatened to call the police, and our families found out. I feel horrible about it now. Kids really are a-holes. When I was 5, I saw my brother laying on the floor. Since I am a professional username, I decided to pee all over my brother. My dad had bad OCD and made the family miserable because of it. As a teenager on Fridays after school, I would rearrange the furniture in the house or his precious tools in his workshop garage and then disappear for the weekend. As an adult, I realize he couldn't control it and he loved us deep down, and I feel guilty about it. But at the time it was hilarious to me and my siblings and felt good. I drew dongs on all the drawings in the copy of Where the Sidewalk Ends in my 3rd grade classroom. Took the eyeballs out of cicadas and collected them. Not sure why, they just looked cool, lol. I'm scared to imagine what sort of stuff you collect nowadays. Just Steam games mostly. Dropped a rope out of my 2nd story window, tied it to a plastic tricycle, asked my neighbor if he wanted to go for a ride, and lifted him up to the window with the help of my brother and sister. Then we dropped him and caught the rope before he hit the ground. It was stupid, but none of us had parents responsible enough to watch us or teach us anything. Fapped to my friend's sister during a sleepover at his house. How did you do it over her sleeping? We were sleeping in the living room, in a big inflatable mattress. Oh god, the cringe. Jerked off onto some dirty panties that belonged to a friend's mom. My cousins lived off a pretty major street growing up. We would put logs in the road for cars to run over because it would make a loud sound like a gunshot went off when it hit the bottom of their car. We did this for a while until a motorcycle almost ran over it and we realized how dangerous it was. Jesus Christ, mine is really not as bad as everyone else. We grew up not having a lot of money. One day my dad had the day off and he wanted to treat me to a restaurant by his work that he always wanted to go to. I was an a-hole and I complained the whole time and thought the place was too cheap. He was excited to take me. I feel awful. Edit. Thank you for the gold. I am going on a trip to India with my parents next week to visit my dad's family. He always gets really excited to take us there and show us his family and where he grew up. I promise you all I will apologize to him and make it up to him there. I would find little bugs, if I was lucky butterflies, and rip the legs off of them and watch them struggle. I realized it was wrong when my mother yelled, "Sweetie, what the duck are you doing?" Edit. Sometimes I would make the insects kiss. I was playing with some glass Christmas ornaments and rolling them on the ground because I thought they were balls to play with, until one smashed into bits. I knew I had done wrong. I hid the mess under the couch and ran into my room and hid for hours, lol. Don't think my mum ever found who broke them because I never got into trouble for it. Sorry mum. I pour a bottle of honey at the metal gate of a neighbor after a feud with them. I waited for half a year before they started a feud with another neighbor. On the very next day, I brought a large bottle of honey and pour onto the metal gate of the house. Not only it is sticky, it is also full of ants and the ants were at their doorsteps as well as the metal gate. They spent the time fighting with another neighbor whom insisted that they will not do such things. They ended up having to change the entire metal gate. For me, on another hand, I helped them to clean up their doorways as well. They were grateful to me for my deed, but they did not know that I masterminded and executed the entire deed without anyone knowing. Not even my parents. Bro, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, Moite. It's free and that's a great price.